Earlier this week, I bought the cheapest Surron I could find on the internet, and it came with some baggage. This is a 2021 Surron LBX, which is marketed as an electric dirt bike. I grew up riding dirt bikes, but it has been quite some time since my last outing, and I know almost nothing about these bikes. After some research, I learned that these bikes have about 7 kilowatts of power, a 60-volt battery, and a top speed of 47 miles per hour. This one is currently limited to exactly 0 miles per hour because it has a blown controller, or so I'm told. It also has quite a few scratches and a lot of mud, but on the bright side it has a 2-inch seat lift, raised bars, and an aftermarket seat, all from Luna Cycles. We'll see if we can fix it, and at the end of the video I'll go over how much I paid for the bike, how much I put into the repairs, and what it might be worth now. The sale of this fine bike came with all the essential accessories needed to use it, including not 1, but 2 keys, a factory charger, a 60-volt 32 amp hour battery, and the original broken controller, which is caked in mud. I think this bike used to belong to someone named Broken because the tape on the back says so. I'm sorry about your bike, Broken. I will take good care of it. Like I said, the seller told me that the controller was blown, but I had no way to verify that. Fortunately, I was able to find an almost brand new controller from a 2023 Light B on Marketplace for just $150, so I took the gamble. I compared the part numbers and the motor and battery connections to verify that it would work. Getting a new controller also saved me the time of having to do a deep clean on the old one, which would have been quite the challenge. The last thing I did was double check the harness connections to make sure those were identical, and they all appear to match up. The first step in bringing this bike back to life was to give it a deep clean. I do this using a spray bottle with a special concoction of dish soap mixed with warm water. I call it soapy water. I don't recommend shaking it to mix. I sprayed the bike down with the soapy water a few times, and as I got to cleaning, I realized just how well this bike had been used. It seems like somebody definitely got their money's worth out of this before the controller blew out. But that's enough for the cleaning. Let's get to verifying that the battery works and installing the new motor controller. Okay, maybe the battery can use a quick clean too. Before touching the controller, I needed to know whether the most expensive part of this bike was even usable. So our first order of business with the battery is making sure that it can charge. Wow, I'm having a bad day. So we plug our battery in and the charger fan turns on, which is a good sign. It's blinking red, which means the battery is charging. And in a couple minutes, the battery goes from 61% to 67%. And that's good enough for me. Now, let's move on to the controller. Like I said, I have no experience with these bikes, but there are only 5 power connections and 3 harness connections, so it seems pretty beginner friendly. There's a positive and negative connection on the left side, and those run to the 60-volt battery. Then there are 3 connections on the right side. These are the phase connections for the electric drive motor and are conveniently labeled by color. I start each cap screw by hand and snug them down with the tiniest ratchet you've ever seen. I got this from my bicycle toolkit, so I guess it's not totally out of its wheelhouse. Next, I pop the hood, or whatever you call it in this instance, and I connect the 3 harnesses, which are all lighter gauge signal wire. So I would guess these are for the accessories such as display, throttle, ignition, sport and eco mode, and the horn. I had no idea these things had a horn, so I nearly gave myself a heart attack testing what I thought was a turn signal. The controller is secured with 4 machine screws. 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top. The mini ratchet shines once again. I'm not sure if the 2023 controller has a slightly different footprint than the 2021 controller, but I couldn't get this little plastic guard back on. I'm not too worried about it though. It's pretty flimsy, and I think I could fabricate a cover in the future if I really need to. With the new controller installed, I was finally able to reinstall the battery. The battery slides into place, and there's 1 power connection and 1 signal connection that each snap into place. I turn the main breaker on, close the bonnet or whatever, ignition on, and the screen shows just 135 kilometers, or just over 80 miles, on this new controller. So it's pretty much brand new. I was super excited to give it some throttle for the first time, but at the same time I was pretty nervous. At this point, everything came down to one question. Was the seller right about the controller? The chain sounds like shit. I kinda should have guessed that. The chain is quite rusty and obviously hasn't been maintained. These tires were also essentially empty, so I filled them both to around 20 psi. Off camera, I removed the original chain, and I think replacing it was definitely the right idea. I came back the next day on a quintessential gloomy Seattle afternoon. I ordered a gold RK racing chain. I'm certainly no expert, but some quick research showed that non-O-ring chains are lighter, more efficient, and generally cheaper. However, they do wear faster. I figured I'd give it a shot for 40 bucks. I had to remove a few links, and I thought my bicycle chain tool would be good for this job. But then I realized that this isn't a bicycle, and the chain is about 3 times the size of that on bike. So instead I ground down one of the roller pins and hammered it out. Some of you may be cringing, but fortunately for me, I can't see you right now, so this is working very well. Once I have it to the right length, I install it on the bike with the retaining clip. In order to tension the chain, I just loosen the rear hub and push it back until the chain is snug. Then I lock the hub back into place with the impact. The chain looks good and sounds a whole lot better, so I'm glad I chose to replace it. I know it's raining, but I kind of feel like I have to take it for a spin. Dig it. The following weekend in Seattle was about as nice as it gets. About 85 and sunny, just in time for the World Cup watch parties. I decided I'd load up the bike and take it back towards my apartment to ride around the town and surprise my girlfriend with my latest project. We joke that my new catchphrase is, guess what I got?
Jake's new electric dirt bike.
What do you think?
Nice. How spiffy.
This punk stole my bike. She's trying to get away, but she can't quite do it.
There's a car coming.
Oh, okay. Way to go. You're a natural.
Oh, this thing is heavy.
She's a real speed demon. So here is the damage. I paid $1,800 for the bike with the blown controller. I paid $150 for the controller off of Facebook Marketplace and $40 for the chain, bringing my total investment to $1,990. Considering that running Surrons in my area sell for around $3,300, I'd call that a win. The bigger surprise is just how much fun this thing is. I originally bought it just to see if I could bring it back to life, but now I'm thinking I might invest in some gear and keep it for the summer. Maybe in the next video we'll take it on some trails and see how it goes. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content on electric bikes and this electric truck behind me, leave a like and make sure you're subscribed. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.